Morning everyone, my name is Nigel Lea from Citation. I'm one of our National Partnerships Managers and recently been appointed to VMG Director, so that's going to be a great adventure. Quite excited to work with a lot of guys on that. So they've asked me to give my kind of summary and overview of what I would consider, kind of leadership qualities, leadership traits, etc. within the veterinary sector. I see a lot of different elements of leadership whenever I go and see a practice. My own personal opinion is I think there's a lot of different traits and qualities that will help people in formal leadership positions, but equally those who might not even know that they're leading. I think any element of a practice, any people that work within a practice can demonstrate leadership qualities. You read about, the 7 elements of leadership, the 15 elements of leadership, the 20 elements of leadership. Just type it into Google, you'll get 101 different results, about what makes a good leader, but also importantly, what kind of makes a bad leader. So, I think for me, there are some elements that I think I would back as kind of what makes a good leader within any business really. Things like self-awareness, I think that's a big one. The ability to have some empathy with yourselves, your colleagues, your customers as well. Respect is a big one. If you can garnish and gather the respect of your colleagues and those around you, then they'll listen to you and kind of give you that ability to help them develop as well. I think there's some bits and bobs that might not necessarily fit into that traditional view of a good leader. However, having said that, I think there's some elements of an ability to, if you can influence people, then they potentially don't need your leadership over time. Your ability to be a background leader or something like that. If you drive your people and your organization to a top level performance, then that team can get on and you don't have to micromanage them. You don't have to be there leading from the front, as it were. Each different element of that organization will work well and work properly. And that kind of comes into an ability to delegate, for example. So within a practice, you will have those people who have a micro skill set that you don't want or you don't necessarily need. So each person has their own roles and responsibilities. It can be tricky to delegate effectively. This isn't about kind of, giving yourself time back, as it were, but it gives you that ability to say to anyone within the practice, you can be autonomous in what you do now. So your head nurse will have some autonomy in what they want to do. You might have specialists within your practice offering that will have autonomy in what they need to do. Your receptionists will have autonomy in what they need to do as well. I'm not a vet, far from it. I've never worked in practice. I've worked with practices for the best part of 20 years. But what I would say is, whenever I take my kids' pets, of which there are many, into a vet, I see leadership all the time. And those people won't necessarily know that they are being leaders. But give you an example, we took my kids' guinea pigs into our local veterinary practice. The receptionist was leading. She was sorting out what was going on. She was directing people where they needed to go. She was telling people what information she needed from them as well. The nurse that came out to speak to my kids about their pets was leading. The ability to influence people, the ability to communicate, the ability to show empathy, and also to give some respect to kind of my kids. She was engaging with my kids and it was fantastic. And they didn't know it, but she was being a leader. She was leading them into what she needed them to do. She said, right, okay, we'll go here, we'll go there. This is what we're going to do. She was providing solutions to the problem of, my kids' guinea pigs were potentially poorly and my children were worried. So this lady was using her knowledge and her influence with her empathy to help my children understand what was going on. And she might have not deliberately gone out to do that, to say, I need to be a leader with these children. I think she would just do that with anybody. But it was fantastic to see. And I think that stems all the way through a good practice. Those people know what they're doing. Those people have the courage to tell people heartbreaking decisions. And I don't think you get that in a lot of other organisations. And it's something that when I go and see care homes, day nurseries, manufacturing businesses, etc., etc. But I see more elements of leadership, consciously or unconsciously, within practices than I do in a lot of other areas. So I think that's something to be applauded. And I think using some of the tools and resources that VMG have and VMG can offer you, I think it's quite exciting. I think those that want to go on and learn about leadership, emotional intelligence is another area to have a little look at. That's something we're quite strong within Citation. I find that particularly interesting myself. It's just a great way of turning on little things in your own mind and for your own professional career that might help you benefit yourself and your team. So I hope that's given you a little bit of an insight. I could waffle on for hours, as many of my colleagues and colleagues within the veterinary profession will know. But yeah, look, there's tons of resources out there. Have a little look. If you're a member of VMG, utilise it. And I hope that helped you. Okay, thank you.